Okay, guys, I think it's good time for us to kick off. We don't want to keep you waiting anymore. So on behalf of fantastic group of people from PMI branch Gdańsk, I would like to warmly welcome you. We are very happy to have you here on our 9th New Trends in Project Management conference. This year, our conference is delivered to you in new form, online form. And Be the Change is the main motto of this conference. We will be holding events every 2 weeks, workshops, webinars. We will be having Scrum Tail workshop as well. So stay tuned, follow us on social media because there's a lot more to go with us. We will be sharing more details on that with you at the very end of our event today. I would like to guide you through our agenda today. Very short welcome speech from my end. We will be sharing agenda, some organizational matters with you as well. Then I will hand over to leader of our branch, to Agnieszka Kaczmarek-Kacprzak. She will shortly introduce what's going on in PMI branch Gdańsk. We would love to take a picture together with you. This will be just a few seconds after PMI presentation. Afterwards, I will introduce our keynote today. Igor will take over. We will be having Q&A session with Igor. And at the very end, at the closing of our today's event, we will share very important information with you, how to collect PDU points, what's the program of our conference, and how to get in touch with us. Okay. Just to remind some organizational matters, some ground rules. If you feel comfortable, show yourself on camera because it just allows better connection. Throughout the duration of our keynote's presentation, please stay on mute because we have a lot going on in our houses, so it will allow everyone's convenience. After Q&A session, there will be very short survey, and please share your feedback, what went well, how we can improve. It's very valuable for us. So our speaker today is actually very willing to get into interaction with you. So I would highly recommend using the chat window to post your questions. Igor will try to connect with you to answer straight away, but if any of those questions will be left, we will cover them at the Q&A session at the very end. As well, feel free to use the functionality of raise your hand if you have like a question that can't wait. Feel free, and we will try to connect with you as straight away. And guys, this conference is delivered by enthusiasts of project management. So please have fun and joy, and hopefully make this event happen together with all of us. So now I would like to hand over to Agnieszka Kaczmarek-Kacprzak, the leader of PMI branch Gdańsk, to share some insights with you shortly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have a pleasure to be a leader of Gdańsk PMI branch. Project Management Institute, in short, PMI, is the leading project management organization in the world with over 600,000 global members and over 300 local chapters internationally. In Poland, we have 11 chapters in different locations. You can find more information about them on our website, pmi.org.pl. The mission of the PMI Poland chapter is to promote the idea of PMI project management approach. Local community of project management practitioners in Tri-City worked together since 2004. We are a very active group of volunteers who perform diverse projects. One of them is conference New Trends in Project Management, this one we are in. Others are seminars and workshops. We are also open to the needs of children and young people. Sylvia, please, the next slide. We answer for the needs of these needs through our CSR project, the English Camp. In our last English Winter Camp 2021, attended 20 participants and 70 volunteers and sponsors. You can also become a part of our project when next time you will receive the ticket for Ntpm events. In Eventbrite, choose the option of donation. Donation will be used to perform summer English camp. I would like to wish you a fruitful time on our conference, and I'm giving back voice to Sylvia.
Sorry, guys. Thank you very much, Agnieszka. So the main beating heart of today's event, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker today, creator and owner of Zero Bullshit Management. As much as interested in modern management techniques, he is also keen on psychology and thank you, and personal effectiveness. And they say Polish language is difficult. He believes that a mixture of those three elements is the best recipe for successful project delivery. But I do believe that Igor will best speak for himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, Igor Mróz on extreme ownership, when your team avoids responsibility and how to tackle it like a US Navy SEAL. So sit down, enjoy, and again, we're very happy to have you here. Okay, Igor, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, and thank you guys from PMI for having me. So I'll just make sure that I'm sharing my screen and everything works. Fingers crossed. Yeah, seems like it works. And a short, say, recommendation from my side. You know, staring into the presentation, you've probably done it whole day today. So just use this, you know, scroll bar that you've got there to move it to the maybe middle of the screen or even here. So our faces are bigger and the presentation is smaller, right? So it's, I guess it's more interesting. So extreme ownership. And this responsibility problem. Well, I assume most of you here are project managers. So probably most of you have experienced the thing called the daily stand-up, the morning stand-up, the morning synchronization meeting with the team. And let me just give you a couple of quotes from my stand-ups. I hope you're gonna enjoy them. I thought Mark was supposed to do it. Almost ready, that's my favorite. Almost ready for like one straight week. I forgot. I've sent them an email. Or I didn't realize it was important. I thought it would be obvious for them, especially for the client. Everything will be obvious for the client. Looks okay for me. And I didn't know. Sounds familiar? No. Oh, wow. Yeah, sounds familiar. So I don't know. Yeah, works for me, works on my computer, especially popular in IT. So what leaders usually do after it? I don't know how it's with you, but for me and for many of my friends, what we are doing, of course, before COVID, we were going to the company kitchen. And we would probably start at the coffee machine, you know, press make coffee button and wait for the first person to enter the kitchen and just complain to them like lazy millennial bastards or, you know, stuff like that. Or I feel like a kindergarten teacher, or I can't stand it anymore, or no proactivity, or whatever. So, you know, I've been doing this for years. I stopped at a certain point. I stopped because I realized that complaining, well, doesn't do you much good. It only, you know, puts you into this endless loop of complaining, of bad mood, of seeing everything in black. So I stopped, but I still deep inside believe that it's the fault of my team. And I believed in that until I made until I met, well, not really in person, but until I found out about the very, very special person. Sorry, Jocko. This is Jocko Willing. He's ex-US Navy SEAL. I recommend Googling his TEDx speech. I recommend Googling it on YouTube and maybe not watching it because it can be difficult. You'll realize what I mean if you try to watch it, because he speaks like that. And I totally love the comments underneath the video. One of them says something like, when Jocko's mother gave birth to him, he drove her back home from the hospital. And there are many others that way. So Jocko, but Jocko has actually, well, extensive experience as a leader, as a manager. He was leading a platoon in Iraq, and now he works as a management consultant. So quite an interesting background. And Jocko wrote a very interesting book, Extreme Ownership. And the book, well, I didn't quite enjoy because the book is like full of war stories, you know, glorious soldiers doing good in Iraq. And I can understand it, but it's a bit too much of that. But I also managed to get some nice tidbits of knowledge from the book. And one of them is the story that Jocko tells about I believe it was Battle of Ramadi. Ramadi is a city in Iraq. And I think it was one of the most difficult battles during the Iraqi campaign. And during that battle, Jocko's team was actually involved in something that he himself calls like the worst thing that could happen at war. The case called friendly fire. So when the two teams that stand on the same side, like say coalition soldiers, two teams of the coalition soldiers, instead of shooting the enemy, they start shooting themselves by sheer accident, and then people get killed. And instead of getting killed by the opposite side, you are getting killed by the guy with whom you were, you know, at the training or with whom you had a beer yesterday. And there was such occurrence. There, something like that happened then. And in this very particular case, one person died, and I believe 2 or 3 were seriously injured. So afterwards, of course, what did the management in case of the military is the command. What did the command want to know? What do you think? You know, like the first question they would ask. A tragedy happened. Whose fault is it? Of course. Who is guilty? Yeah, who is guilty? Like the first instinctive question. And Jocko tells the story when he sits and he's supposed to draw a report about what happened. And this report he's supposed to present in front of his whole team and also the management team, so some people from the command. And he analyzes the situation, and there were many things that went wrong. There was some problem with the radio. There was some problem with the reconnaissance. So how what they thought it's going to be there, but what was actually there. There was some problem with the training. There was some problem with guns. There were some problems with guns. So he was sitting there and thinking, what was the main cause, the main problem? Whose fault was that? And finally, after lots of deliberation, he came to the one and only good conclusion, and he presented that. And he presented this conclusion during that meeting. What do you think the conclusion was? Whose fault was that? PMS? I don't think so. PMs, sorry. Everyone, leader. Human error, yeah, human error, I love it. So some generic bug, yeah, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Lack of communication, yeah, management, command, the system, yeah, the system. So actually, some of you have given the right answer. I mean, in Joko's thinking, he was the person responsible. He named himself as the person who was responsible, and he says that he was actually very, well, I don't know. No, Joko is never scared. He was slightly anxious. Let's put it that way. So he was slightly anxious. What will the management, the command say? One day, like, lose confidence in him. But actually what happened, the command was kind of pleased, because what the way they're expecting, they were expecting that he will start a blaming game, like it's their fault, it's the fault of command, or it's the fault of reconnaissance, and the reconnaissance will say, no, it's your fault because you didn't do something, or etc. You probably know it. Everybody who's been in like a long email thread at work knows how the blaming game works, or some maybe lessons learned session, slightly long. So the command responded really nice, because they could actually move on, do some, damage control, and move on with the situation. His team, he was also afraid what will his team say, and the team also responded pretty well, because most of the people on his team also felt kind of guilty, like, and they were actually afraid that he's gonna point at them, and they were like grateful to him that he didn't do it, and they were grateful to him that he took the blame, that he took all the blame. So I'm reading this and I nod my head and I say, clever manipulation. He manipulated them so nicely that he gained even from this big failure. His people respected him more, the command respected him more, a win-win. But as he later explained the situation, I actually learned that he was right, that it was no manipulation, because he is the leader of this operation, and he was supposed to, for example, as a leader, he was supposed to know his people. And for instance, if he knew that Jack is responsible for reconnaissance, he should know Jack. He should know what kind of person is Jack, if he could trust Jack with his life. And if he can trust if he could trust Jack with his life, well, he should maybe still check Jack once with this reconnaissance. If maybe not exactly, he should check Jack 3 times. The same with many other aspects of the project, because in the end, this is still his operation. And this really, really, really made me thinking. This reminded me of some release that in IT that I've been managing, and our team from India, they received everything that we were supposed to go live, and our team in India received all the installation package they were supposed to. But well, as we later realized, the packages were okay, only the installation instructions were not. So I think it was Saturday evening, I asked on our local chat, it was still Lotus Notes chat, same time, yeah, that's the name. I asked them the question, is everything okay? And what do you think the question was? So what do you think the answer was? Yes, of course. Okay, no problem. And then, of course, Monday morning, I came to work and I realized that our platform is dead. The installation is like halfway through, and it took us another 1.5 days to roll everything back. And afterwards, of course, what I did was I blamed everything on those guys in India. You know those guys in India, you can't really trust them. And, you know, I asked them if everything was okay, and they answered yes. And it's their fault, of course. And while reading Joka, I realized that actually it was my fault. It was freaking important release, like that happens like once every half a year. And that was my responsibility. I should have checked this 3 times. If everything is okay. And the same guilt is on every leader, basically, who just, whenever team behaves as I have described in the beginning, if they just, you know, shrug and roll their eyes and carry on with whatever they are doing. Because there are many things that you can actually do if your team doesn't take the responsibility and behaves as I have described in the very beginning. Maybe you have some idea. You can write them on chat. I will give you a couple of mine, and this totally doesn't, you know, exhaust the list. Well, first, I would try to build or rebuild a relationship with this team, create some sense of purpose for what they do. Because more often than not, I think like the team doesn't really know how important it's what they are doing. Sometimes we just speak about what they are doing, like, oh, you know, you are doing this shitty work for the time being. Maybe in 1 or 2 years, you're gonna advance and leave this, say, support to something really interesting, because this support thing is not really interesting. Very motivating, very engaging language. So try to do this. You can also maybe just have an open discussion, gather everybody and have like an honest, open discussion. Describe the situation and say that you don't like it, that you have maybe a couple of ideas, but you would very much like to listen to theirs. Ivona, what was exactly wrong with the interaction share with Indian guys? Where those were the tech steps. Basically, such installation instruction is basically install package X, then run script A, then install package Y, then run script B, then run script C, then check whether on database this query returns this and that. So they could verify. The packages were okay, but the instructions were from the previous release by sheer accident. So thank you for the question. So getting back, so just a pure accident there. So getting back to this, you can just ask for their feedback and suggestions. There are also many other things that you can actually do. And if all of this doesn't work, you can still try to escalate. So go to your boss and tell them that, well, you tried this and that, and you are asking for help. Or you can ask somebody like me for help. But remember, and there is one catch, this will still require an effort, something that's really difficult for many people, because sorry for saying this with regard to the name of the conference, but I frequently notice that when we look for new trends in management or something new, we often look for some magic wand that will solve. Oh, sorry for the. Oh, it was supposed to say looking for some magic wand that will solve all our problems effortless. So like we implement PMBOK, Prince2, like maybe teal organizations, corporate maturity models, SAFe, Scrum, you name it, right? Because we believe that maybe this will help us. And this actually reminds me of a story when I was already working as a consultant. One of my friends have given me a contact to the CEO of like a small, like 50 people company, and this CEO had a problem with his project managers, and I was supposed to help them. So I went to the CEO. We had a nice meeting, and he described me the problem. He said something like, I have those project managers, and they are supposed to sell our product. So they have to know all the product catalog by heart. They have to go by car to the clients, present them our whole catalog, answer all the meetings. Answer all the questions. Prepare also quotation if the client is interested. So prepare some nice Excel with all the numbers, make sure the numbers are okay. And if the client is interested, then they are also responsible for coordinating the whole implementation project. It was actually, the business was furniture for hotels and conference centers. So pretty expensive furniture, pretty carpets, stuff for the walls, everything, you name it. So my first impression was like the very first thing that came to my mind, and I asked the guy a question. Hey, have you ever considered like split? Because it seems like a bit too much for one single role. Maybe you considered like splitting this into two roles. Like there would be a account manager or key account manager, and there would be a project manager. So account manager would know this product catalog by heart and will be selling, and the project manager will be responsible for the implementation. So he said, no, this is perfect. I built this business from scratch, and I know exactly how it's supposed to work. So then I took a big breath. I counted to 10, and I thought, okay, Igor, be humble, humility. This guy has actually built his company from scratch. So it's not like he's stupid or whatever. He might be right. So I told him that, I would suggest, and I forgot to say what he was expecting of me. He said, after explaining that that's the perfect system, that's the perfect process, he said that I'm supposed to just come and inspire his people, give them a power speech or something like that, so that they will start to finally follow all the rules of his process. And there were like a couple of lengthy Word documents that they were supposed to fill in. There was like this system that looked from the 90s that they were also supposed to fill in some details into the system, IT system, and many other stuff. So I was supposed to inspire his people so that they will be following this process. And I told him that actually I see two main options that we could do. Option one, we will have a workshop, and together with those people, we will try to invent some alterations to the current process. Maybe we're going to change something, maybe we're going to improve something. And afterwards, after we implement those changes, he will have to still make sure that this process is followed. We have a new process, but it will not just happen by itself. He will have to do like maybe 3 times a week a short checkup with the team to check if everything is going according to the new plan, according to the new process, if maybe there are some new suggestions or whatever. This will not just happen by itself, by sheer magic, because we just had a workshop. And the other option I told him was, well, if he really believes that this process is so great and he is the process creator, then he is the person that should deliver the power speech. I could help him. But the thing I also added afterwards, like even if he delivers this power speech, he will still have to be the person that will be, checking frequently with his team if they are actually following the process, because it will probably take, even if the process is great, it will probably take 1 or 2 months in order for the habit to form, in order for it to catch up. The normal thing, if you are introducing a new process, is that for the team to resist, to want to get back to the old ways. And initially, of course, there will be some change agents. There will be some people who are enthusiastic about the change, but most of people are not really enthusiastic about the new thing. And then the leader has to, step in and, ask those difficult questions, make sure everything is being done according to the new rules. And no new process, no new methodology, no new certificate will, will fix that. Now there will be nothing. Any new trend will not just catch up by itself. And while I was preparing for this presentation and reminding of all this myself of all these stories, I started to think about our survey that my company did last year. The name of the survey was "What Troubles PMs?" So project, as in project managers, not prime ministers. And we had like 3 main categories in the survey. And well, internal politics and cooperation, cooperation, working with the client, working with the team. Surprisingly, working with the team was the least problematic, but still there were quite a few problems. But the numbers, okay, they are interesting, but what was really interesting was actually the open text, what people entered in there. And what just couple of examples. When it comes to internal politics and cooperation, it takes ages for the executive team to make a decision. They just keep quarreling. So they have C-level people and they just can't seem to reach an agreement. They just keep quarreling. I love this one. Departments are separate kingdoms that wage wars instead of working together. So the silo mentality. When it comes to working with the team, I feel like a mother of a 3-year-old. If I don't remind, don't check, don't ask, nothing's gonna happen. Or it's impossible to get a reliable status information. Nobody reports problems and I have to play a detective. Working with the client. Client doesn't realize that a small change could have enormous impact on the system. They always think that the implementation will take 15 minutes. And they keep changing their mind and adding ideas without extending that deadline. And I know, I don't have to ask, I know it sounds familiar, because what struck me when I was reading those answers, like, hey, were they all my team or something? Because most of companies I visit, it's very listed very similar problems. And what really struck me, getting back to the topic, that the solution to most of those problems lies not in implementing yet another new trend. No new process or whatever will not really fix it. It lies in something that's, well, related to building good relationships and learning some better communication that would be more empathetic but still assertive. No, let's some middle ground between one and another. And of course, sometimes getting rid of rotten apples. This is also sometimes necessary. But this just doesn't happen overnight. And you can't just implement it and get certified. Right? There is this CMMI or whatever, and all those different models, corporate maturity, many others. You are just certified. Boom! Your company is great. Your company has all the processes there. But you know what? I actually don't have service for that. Just my experience. But from my experience, nobody has ever presented clear requirements and standards to the most of poor and underperforming teams. Has never gathered them and tell them, hey guys, we require this and that, this and this is important. And I think you are slightly underperforming. Maybe we're gonna, do some training for you or whatever. This almost never happens. Nobody has ever given a good constructive feedback to the most of annoying people. Most of annoying people learn that they are annoying when it's almost too late. Like the feedback that they are given is already when the nerves are there, and like, could you just stop doing this? Or maybe it's even like, when they are parting ways with the company. Nobody ever proposes a constructive alternative to the most of stupid client requirements. We very, very seldom try to really understand what they want. We just say, this is stupid. this is stupid, oh, but we're gonna implement it anyway, or whatever. Like I will not give the company name, but I was working on a billing system implementation. Billing system is in telecommunication is a system that actually is supposed to, print invoices. But our system, from the dawn of mankind, so from the very beginning, you were supposed to run a process somewhere on a server, and after 10 minutes in a directory on that server, you had invoices. And the client asked us, hey, maybe we should be able to download invoices from, from the front end or whatever, from the application. The whole team started to laugh. Oh, such a stupid client, whatever. Because they were so used to, that it's normal that the invoices are printed on the server. People very seldom actually try to understand and think that maybe this requirement, stems from something. Maybe the client perspective is slightly different. So it doesn't happen on our behalf as leaders, but we still expect proactivity and responsibility from our teams. And my final question is, if you, as a leader, after such a toxic stand-up that I have described in the beginning, if you just shrug, roll your eyes, and maybe complain to your friend that that's everything you do, then what will your team member do if they encounter a problem? They will probably shrug, roll their eyes, and maybe complain to their friends. And that's it. That's why the new trend in project management should be walk the talk. So if you require responsibility and proactivity, you should probably show it yourself more often. Thank you. If you've got any questions, I know there were some, so we're going to get back to them in a second. Actually, the survey that I mentioned is only available in Polish, sorry, so you can download it here. But for everybody, you can just, ping me on LinkedIn if you have some question. You can add me there. And I'm now looking forward to your questions.
Igor, thank you very much. We had some questions, but you had such an awesome flow of your presentation that we decided that we won't interrupt.
Sorry.
No, that's great. It's awesome to see that you feel so comfortable and it went very smooth. Guys, we have one request before we follow. If we could ask you to just get your cameras on for 30 seconds, because we would love to get a picture of all of us gathered together, because we have to admit that it's the first time we have so many people on our online event, and it's just worth, documenting this. So huge smile. Adam is responsible for our photo shoot today. Okay, so we're waiting for news.
You have a cat there.
Yeah. So Adam, just let us know when we can move to Q&A.
Oh, no camera. Yeah, maybe we should smile or something, right?
Anyone who feels comfortable for joining us, like for 30 seconds, 1 minute, please do so, but no pressure. It's just nice to see you guys.
I have like 3 screens of people, my God.
Oh, Igor, you can make some good shots as well. We will choose the best ones, promise. Fingers crossed. Okay, so Adash, how's that looking? Thumbs up? Okay, thank you very much. So Igor, we have few great questions, and guys, just to remind that this event is for us. We want to share good practices, very modern approach to project management. There's no stupid questions. Don't be shy, raise your hand. Leonard, if you would like to share some insights on what you have mentioned in the chat section, please feel free for, small networking session, because we have plenty of time. And I've made note of few questions. Igor, for you, you're ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Need a drink? No? You're ready.
Yeah.
Now you need a drink.
Nice black tea.
Okay, so we had a nice break for you.
Or maybe should I ask, should I have a drink? Because you know the question.
Feel free. You know, that's the benefit of this event, that anyone can have any kind of drink, unless we all, as long as we all
I
behave.
tried that once, drinking during an event, and well, it doesn't work. I'm already zero bullshit when I'm not drinking.
We believe in you. So we've got question from Mikołaj Pancewicz. How does this concept relate to another one in management, empowerment, trust, and etc.? What would you say, Igor?
Yeah, that's actually perfect question, because when people hear about extreme ownership might sound to them like micromanagement, like putting your finger everywhere, asking about everything, etc. But you know what, my experience is that of course you always have to find some middle ground, because between not doing anything and empower your people and let them make mistakes, and actually stepping in too many times. Just an example from, because the real life examples are I guess the best. I was leading a big strategic project in like a big internet company. By big, I mean 1,000 plus people. And of course we had Scrum there was empowerment, I trusted my team, everything was great. At least I felt so. But once upon a time, but actually deep down inside, I wasn't that confident if my team is that much engaged, or maybe I should sometimes, push them or challenge them more or whatever. But I kept reading those materials about agile, empowerment and stuff. So I thought maybe it's just supposed to be, maybe it's just the way it's supposed to be. But once there was this, of course, release, we all love releases in IT, of the system that I was supposed to give a demo, and I was supposed to give a demo to the C-level people. So I went to the board, and what happened for me was like a thing that happens for many people on such projects. The system crashed on a login screen. So I wasn't even able to log into the system. This was a Polish company, and let's say the culture of language was not that high. I heard lots of, not very pleasant words, not very pleasant things about me, my family, and other people on my team. And this really, this really made me nervous, annoyed, pissed off on my people. So I went back to the room when my team was sitting, shaking, and I was like, "Guys, this is ridiculous." And then I started to explain my concerns, like, "Come on, guys, you knew that I'm supposed to go to them and do a demo, present everything. Come on, seriously, it just crashes on the login screen." So I let everything go, and then I left. And already on the staircase, I realized, oh shit, I shouldn't have. It's so unprofessional, and it's so against agile. It's so against all those principles. But afterwards, one of the guys from the team, the function, I think it was called technical leader, so let's say the most senior technical guy on the team, he just ran towards me, and he did something like, hey, you know what? I think we really needed this one. So by telling you this story, I don't mean that you should shout on your team or use dirty words or something. I mean that there is some, like a middle ground between, self-organization, empowerment, and everything, and not stepping in when you are supposed to. Because when you keep hearing stories like that, or keep hearing expressions like that during your morning stand-ups, the expressions that I mentioned in the very beginning of the presentation, that's probably the situation when you should try to have this honest conversation with your team and tell them, hey, I am not really pleased with your performance. It actually sucks, and it sucks for the customer, and the customer pays us money. We should maybe try to fix the situation. What do you propose?
Thank you, Igor. And actually, Mikołaj has posted another question: does extreme ownership equal micromanagement? But we just had this question on chat that it's literally has been covered by you right now. Thank you. So next question is from Ivona. Ivona, thank you for your question. I'm still wondering how to deal with silence from my team members on events. What's your golden tip on that, Igor?
Silence on the events. Be silent even more. My golden tip is actually, it will not work all the time. It will not work always, but one of the things worth mentioning is actually to learn to be silent yourself. So just ask a question. And be silent.
Okay.
Because more often than not, the problem is that we ask the question, maybe we ask the difficult question, and we get nervous. We get nervous that nothing is going to answer. We don't feel comfortable. And when we don't feel comfortable, we start to talk more. We start to talk faster with higher pitch. This is normal. It still happens for me during difficult feedbacks. I know that it's my problem. It still happens for me. When the feedback is really difficult, I talk too much. Instead of just stating, the problem, stating my what I would like to change, and then shutting up, I try to, maybe soften the situation, and but I hope you don't feel offended, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So just say less.
So silence. Thanks, Igor. Next question is from Eva. How not to be the only owner in the team?
I don't know how to read it. Pinch ID. Learn to ask one question and wait for the answer. One question and wait for the answer. Yes, great. Because also often, and I'm also guilty of this, I say something like, hey guys, I have one question to you. And then I ask one question and then another and another, and like maybe three in total. And the guys don't know, they are confused, they are puzzled. So yeah, just ask one question, wait.
Okay. Next question is from Laurent. What is the best approach to propose or try to implement some process improvement when senior management is not really keen to accept change?
This brings me back to my favorite question that I learned to ask during retrospectives or lessons, or something I called frequent Kaizen sessions. So like once every 2 weeks. It could be regarding the process improvement. I learned to ask a question: what is the one thing that we could change so that the work for us here would be easier? So one thing, if you just ask people for one thing, they will probably tell you the most important one, instead of like giving you the whole list of complaints. The other thing is that you stressed that this should be thing that you can change, that you are, in power, because on most teams, in most of the projects, there are lots of things that we can change, and there are many things that we can't. Say we have a stakeholder from hell, and we can't really hire a hitman to get rid of them most of the time, depending on the project, of course. But there are also many things that we have influence on, and I would just encourage you to focus on this. The other tip that I could give to you is to maybe ask you, is it the whole senior management? Usually it's not the case. sometimes it's like 1 or 2 people who are this obstacle. So just ask maybe somebody from within the organization for the tip, how to handle with those people, or how to, you know, go past them, maybe to go to somebody else in the organization. And you got me started. And one last tip, I promise. Sometimes it's best to ask for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. So ask for forgiveness if something fails. With your small improvement, of course, your improvement shouldn't be reckless, like you know, blow the whole company up. Instead of asking for permission on everything, because oftentimes the senior management is like tired of, you know, being asked for permission in this area, in that area, because they feel like you are shifting responsibility, you know, putting responsibility on them. Like they approve this change, so it's their fault if it fails. So, and many times you still have some space to do this small improvement in your area, and maybe present it to them after it's like successful for half a year or something like that.
Okay, thank you, Igor. Another question is from Pavel, because we're, you know, touching the topic of how to make your team responsible. So Pavel is asking, do you speak from the position of a manager or just any team member? If the first, what does a manager do actually on a team stand-up in the first place?
So we have a Scrum purist. So first of all, you know, stand-ups could be done not only on Scrum teams. That's first thing. The other thing is that even if you are running Scrum, then sometimes there are organizations, and keep meeting those organizations that are in a process of, let's say, slow transition. Imagine a situation that you have an organization that was working in some kind of a waterfall, some kind of command and control system for 20 years. Actually, I was in similar organization implementing Scrum, and putting all the empowering your team like totally was a disaster. They didn't know what to do. So you, in this case, you require at least some transition period. Of course, you have to make sure that this transition period doesn't last for 10 years as an excuse, but at least some transition period when the manager tries to, you know, behave more like this supporting role or whatever. But I don't see a problem with manager there. And I'm trying to be, say, more general and talk not only to people who do Scrum, but also do other types of projects. And stand-ups work great on many teams. Same with Kanban boards and everything.
Okay.
But of course, if your team is mature, they know Scrum, they are great, then manager should be shot on sight when he enters stand-up.
Well said. Next question is from Estera. In international teams where under a pressure of project deadlines, what would be one word of advice how to get the team so they would support each other more in meeting their goals, their responsibilities, not to only get the job done, but also grow on the job and have personal satisfaction from achieved targets? Great question.
Whoa, the answer, just one advice, right? And the answer to this question is probably worth, like, you know, free books. So again, I think I gave like a bit of advice in my presentation. Try to of course try to prepare for this meeting, but organize a short meeting, and well, we will be perfectly honest and straightforward with that team and tell them that, hi guys, the situation is like this. I would love us to have like more fun, more engagement, more supporting each other. Why do you think it doesn't happen? Or maybe, no, I hate question why. You shouldn't ask why. What do you think we should change in order for this to happen more often and just listen to their suggestions, what blocks them, what you know. One thing that also comes to my mind is probably it also very much depends on the type of the organization, because I'm getting such questions frequently from the organization when you have those, as PMI says, this weak coordinator type of instead of like full-blown project manager. Like full-blown project manager has dedicated team. He or she has almost like full power. I mean, they can hire, they can fire, people work 100% for them, etc. And the whole PM book is basically based on that. While I encounter many people, especially working, say, in shared services, BPUs, and many organizations like that, when they are like coordinators of some initiatives. So they have like, I don't know, 7 or 8 people, but those people are from different departments. They have their operational work. And this project is something that it's done like something extra. And what frequently happens there, those people will not be as engaged as you hear in the stories from like you know, full-blown projects. And my question and my advice to those people is basically accept this situation and just talk with them one-on-one every now and then, and accept the situation that they might not ever form a team, because depending on your organization, sometimes the situation is like, imagine you have John, you have Anne, and you have Mark. They have their own boss. They are responsible. Raportują. They report to this one boss. Their yearly evaluation is being made by this one boss, and this project of yours is some additional initiative that's additional, and the narrative in the company, everybody says, hey, this is something additional. No one will do anything bad to them if they fail on that project or if they are late or whatever. So the only thing to do in such unfortunate situation is basically to accept it. But still, even in such a situation, I would make a short meeting and just ask those guys for maybe some advice. Maybe they will not agree to have like, daily stand-ups or whatever, but maybe they will agree. So once a month we'll have like a short planning session to plan the initiatives for the next month. Plan the tasks or the most important goals or something like that.
Thank you, Igor. Thank you, Estera, for your question. I would just
Great question.
On that topic that in agility, they say that whenever you're not actually sure as a leader how to approach things, take it to your team. Discuss with your team, ask your team, because you have a bunch of wise people to discuss that topic with. So
yeah. And if I could comment on this one, because this is a great thing, zero bullshit. Sometimes those ideas from your team, even if you ask them, they will not be the best. I mean, you could think that your ideas may be better, that you have a better idea than your team, but sometimes good enough idea, but from your team, is way better than yours perfect idea, because it's your team's idea. And by accepting your team's idea, you learn them that you actually, you care about what they say. And they are much more motivated when you try to implement their idea, not when you are the brightest, the best and the smartest, and you have all the ideas. I know it happens for me all the time. I'm of course the smartest. On all my projects, I was the smartest guy.
We learn all our life, Igor. Yeah. No worries. We've got next question from Pavel, quite long one. Question on creating a sense of purpose. might be difficult in some businesses, I think, especially when the team does not work on a next big thing, rather some boring deliverable of a documentation that no one will read. How to bring sense of purpose to teams dealing with a lot of routine and repetitive action items.
I love the question, and
How to make boring work attractive.
I can say that I will speak from my experience, because once upon a time I was managing a team that was actually writing SAP connectors. So some small pieces of software that actually synchronize one big important system with SAP, so the other important system, but nobody really cared that much about those SAP connectors. It was only some internal company requirements that those systems are synchronized, but it was not that important. So one tip I would give to you is watch your language, watch your narrative, because what we frequently do, we use this negative language ourselves. So, hey, another boring week on this boring project that nobody wants or nobody cares about or whatever. When I was working for one big IT Polish company, my boss used to say something like that. We were working for a very difficult client, and every Monday he would come to our room and say something, another day on this shitty project for a stupid customer. So watch for this, and ask around your stakeholders, maybe your manager, how important is actually what you are doing for the company, and get this to your team every now and then. I mean, because I can't imagine that your people are doing something that, well, could be removed or gotten rid of. Probably it's still something that's essential for the company. Something, maybe it's not this, that's not this sexy project that's on a cover of Forbes, but it's still something that's essential for the business. I mean, even creating accounts, answering calls from the all of this. Without that, it wouldn't be possible for the company to function. So stress this. Give your people this sense of pride that actually without that, this company wouldn't be able to function. So watch for your language, that you are not using this negative expression yourselves. And every now and then, of course, don't be artificial, be natural. Don't come on Monday like, hi, my most important people doing most important job on this company. Try to find something natural. And one last thing, maybe that's actually a tip from my friend who used to work as an HR in a company like around 150 people, and she actually used 1 or 2 hours every Friday to create and write company news. So something like, I'm actually doing similar thing on my company. That's a small company. Every week I take like maybe half an hour to write a team news. So something that happened on a team during last week, and something that we think is going to happen next week. It's not a status update. Sometimes it's slightly funny. Sometimes it just gives people all the information regarding what's happening on the team and what's happening, say, in the same department of the company. It gives them the sense of belonging, because sometimes you also make the mistake of mushroom management. Some of you have heard about mushroom management. You feed them shit and keep them in the dark. So keep them in the dark. Don't tell anything that happens in a company or on the other team or whatever.
So Pavel, seems that the answer is to lead by example and allow your team to mimic your positive attitude. Thanks, Igor. So next,
Gosia has some nice tip. Sorry. Encourage you to get familiar with the concept of teaming by Amy Emonson. I will Google it myself. Amy.
Gosia as well has a question. We will have more and more less rigid team structures. We gather just to complete the next challenge. Any advice from you, Igor? Igor, would you like Gosia to speak up regarding that question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Gosia, I will unmute you. You're free to go. Hi, Gosia.
Okay, hello. It's quite dark here because I haven't moved to the room. Okay, Igor, so mainly because when we talk about the future, we will have less chance to get the team for a while and to build the team. Yeah. So my question is, from your perspective, I would like to hear the advice from your experience. What would you, how would you deal with this situation? Yeah, we gather for like 6 months, sometimes shorter, 1 month to solve a problem, a challenge, and we've got a project to deliver. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you advise? How would you start it, or whatever you're working as a team when you do not have rigid structure and you do not really have a chance to go through all the phases of team building.
Okay. So you, so the team is just formed ad hoc. There is no manager, there is no governance, whatever. And Gosia, you are on mute.
Here you go, Gosia.
Okay, someone muted me. Okay, so no, there was a leader, yeah. So it's getting more and more now that we've got even you are a project manager, external project manager, and you've got a challenge to solve, yeah, for 3 months, for example, or 1 month, yeah. So there is a leader, project manager, whatever, or project leader. Any tips from your experience?
Sorry if I no, not.
Okay.
No, I'm not really sure if I'm just, maybe an example would be good. So you, as an external project manager, you are joining an organization to tackle one problem. There is some problem and you are
a crisis. Yeah, there is a crisis, for example, and you've whatever challenge to solve.
No, really, I don't have. I was not in this position, and one of the rules of zero bullshit management is that I'm not bullshitting. So I'm not giving the advice that I read on some book and never tried it myself.
Okay, Igor, thanks for being so on. Of April, the same place, the same time, but with one difference. We will be having 2 speakers. We will be having Paweł Pietru on the topic of sense making as a method of monitoring complex dilemmas in VUCA world, and as well Joanna Adamska, customer journey mapping as a tool to better know your end users. And guys, we are not slowing down. Our conference will take place until nearly end of December, with a short break for summer holidays. So I would already like to invite you to visit our social media, to visit our Facebook, to visit our LinkedIn, to visit our website. Because you have all the details, you have up-to-date information, and you can just see what topics are, close to your heart, what topics are interesting for you. And that's the moment to get a screenshot, because for joining us today, you can collect your PDU points. So let me know when you're ready with your screenshot.
Maybe I should do it.
Okay. Nice. And okay, guys, if you have any more questions to Igor, please remember that any questions left under the post on Facebook.
Yeah.
One more time.
Or you can just message me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
If you want to keep it private.
because we had some great questions, and we're very happy that actually those questions were raised, because remember, we are building this community together. And
Eva is writing something once more, please.
okay. Yeah, Eva was asking to share PDU claim code once again.
So have I thought.
So guys, we are kind of like creating this community together. We love to share new insights with you, and you know, on behalf of all of us here, I would like to say huge thank you for all the team members from PMI branch Gdańsk, all the volunteers. Thank you very much for your dedication, for your hard work, for your free time allocated to making this event happen. Thank you to all the participants, because it wouldn't happen without you. And Igor, yeah, big heart for spending this evening together with us. And what I can say as well, that in PMI branch Gdańsk, we are very close to our community. We want to help our community grow, improve. If you feel you have some spare time to share with us, if you feel you would like to kick off your, you know, career in project management, if you feel you would like to help this event to happen, don't be shy. Get in touch with us on social media, and we will be more than happy to welcome you in our group. So very, very huge thank you. Have a lovely evening. Enjoy yourselves, and we will be very, very pleased to see you with us once again in 2 weeks. Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great evening.